Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something pretty massive, a really high-stakes collision between our changing climate and our most vital survival systems. We're talking about the energy, food, water nexus, and more importantly, how we can actually secure it against the impending threat of extreme weather. Now, if you follow global climate and agriculture, you already know the stakes are incredibly high right now. But the latest data is telling us that we need a fundamental paradigm shift in how we manage our land. So let's dive right into this. 40.1 degrees Celsius. Just let that sink in for a second. That was the staggering, record-breaking temperature we saw hit Malaysia, specifically in Chuping Perlis, during the devastatingly strong El-nino back in April of 1998. It's a really harsh reminder of the absolute extreme heat we face when ocean surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific start running unusually warm. And unfortunately, the data points to a repeat event, or honestly, potentially even worse, on the horizon. So what is the actual timeline for this super El Nino threat? Well, according to warnings from fire and rescue departments and meteorological experts, we're looking at ocean temperatures really starting to rise around November 2026. Then, by early January 2027, that peak heat and prolonged dry spells will start heavily impacting the land. And by February 2027, we're looking at widespread critical water shortages. The warning is pretty clear here. We have to prepare for higher temperatures, haze, and severely reduced rainfall. Which leads us directly to the heart of the issue, our fragile agricultural nexus. You see, it's essentially this highly interconnected web. After all, it takes massive amounts of water to grow our food, right? And incredible amounts of energy to pump and move all that water. So when you introduce direct moisture stress and extreme heat into the mix, it doesn't just ruin a single harvest. It causes a cascading failure across all three of these vital systems. When one gets stressed out by extreme weather, the ripples are literally felt everywhere. Now, historical data tells a pretty frightening story here. Let's talk about palm oil. It's a cornerstone of our global food supply, found in roughly half of all packaged products in your local supermarket. Malaysia and Indonesia alone supply 88% of global exports. But during a severe El Nino, like the 97-98 one we talked about, direct moisture stress caused catastrophic yield drops. We are talking about worst-case drops of up to 0.84 metric tons per hectare in Indonesia and 0.41 in Malaysia. Over a multi-year lag, this kind of weather event fundamentally destabilizes the global balance sheet, and that directly impacts grocery bills for families worldwide. But here's the thing. The cascading effects of this heat go way beyond just a bad harvest. First, you've got reduced fresh fruit bunch weight. Second, utterly depleted soil moisture with increased water runoff. Third, a massive spike in our reliance on artificial cooling, which leads to the fourth point, completely depleted energy reserves. We can't simply crank up the air conditioning on an entire farm, right? It leaves communities incredibly vulnerable. So we need a structural, physical solution. And that brings us to what a lot of researchers are calling the hero of our modern climate crisis, agrivoltaics, or AVS for short. This is a highly integrative solution that elegantly combines photovoltaic solar energy production with actual agricultural farming right on the exact same plot of land. It totally ends the old tug-of-war between using land for solar farms or using it for food. Instead, it successfully does both. Picture a setup where you have an overhead agrivoltaic system acting as a protective canopy. The solar panels are elevated above the crops, usually over 1.8 meters high. This physically shields the plants from severe weather, intense sunlight, and extreme heat, creating a highly controlled, cooler microclimate underneath. It's basically like setting up a giant, energy-generating parasol to protect our vital food systems. And hey, it's not just for crops either. Imagine an interspace system where vegetation grows between and underneath ground-mounted panels. This builds an incredible refuge for grazing livestock like sheep or cows. The panels reduce heat stress for the animals, which significantly improves their welfare and productivity, while the animals themselves naturally manage the vegetation, keeping maintenance costs down for the solar arrays. It is a brilliant, perfect symbiosis. Honestly, when you compare the stark reality of traditional farming during a super El Nino with this agrivoltaic approach, it's like night and day. Traditional open-field farming is battling high evaporation and extreme heat stress, which leads to those massive crop losses we just talked about. But agrivoltaics? It actively retains soil moisture through partial shading, protects the crops, and concurrently generates vital renewable energy the whole time. And the hard science completely backs this up. There is a fascinating recent quote from Agronomy Research in 2025 stating that midday leaf water potential is 40% less negative inside agrivoltaic plots than in full sun, even when irrigation is halved. What does that mean in plain English? The plants are significantly less stressed out. In fact, these physical shields work so well that global case studies show crop yields can actually increase by over 10% for certain shade-tolerant varieties. No way, right? But it's true.
Now, we can actually take this a step further by integrating some incredible emerging tech to create a smart irrigation synergy. Step 1. IoT sensors monitor the exact moisture content of the shaded soil in real time. Step 2. Because the panels naturally reduce net solar radiation and soil evaporation, the baseline water demand is already much lower. And Step 3. Automated systems deliver precise water only when and where it's needed, all based on that real-time sensor data. The results of this synergy are nothing short of staggering. Studies show this combination can cut our agricultural water requirements by up to 35%. Just think about that. In a water-limited region, staring down an El-nino drought, saving 35% of your water while maintaining or even boosting your crop yield, that is absolutely a game changer. Okay, so we've talked a lot about how the solar panels help the crops, but let's flip the script for a minute. What if I told you the crops return the favor in a big way? They actually help supercharge the renewable energy output, solving a major issue with solar generation in intensely hot climates. It all comes down to this natural cooling effect. You see, high heat usually causes solar panels to lose efficiency, but plants undergo a process called transpiration. They essentially sweat out moisture. This naturally cools the air directly beneath and around the panels. Because the panels are being kept cooler by the crops below, they perform way better, with some systems generating up to 1.5 megawatts per hectare. And to squeeze every last drop of juice out of this setup, researchers are exploring alternative utility-scale configurations, like bifacial modules. Basically, these are panels designed to capture sunlight from both the top and the bottom. So they grab the direct sun from above, but they also absorb the light reflecting off the crops and the ground from below. It's a seriously clever way to maximize the energy output from a single hectare. Let's talk real-world application. Take Chile, for example, a region that deals heavily with water scarcity and high energy demands. They deployed an incredible climate-resilient micro-solution, a vertical bifacial agrivoltaic facility that combines goat farming with solar energy production. The result? This dual-use setup saves a massive 1,410 cubic meters of water per hectare, all while reliably powering the local community. Just an incredibly impressive feat of engineering. And this innovation totally doesn't stop at dirt farming. Over in Rajasthan, India, they've installed a 30-kilowatt aquavoltaic solar system directly over a 1-megawatt fish pond. The shading from the solar panels regulates the water temperature, preventing the pond from overheating. This creates highly favorable, stable conditions for the fish, all while generating decentralized, clean electricity right at the source. It's just so smart. So, tying it all together, it becomes really clear how this infrastructure fundamentally secures the energy-food-water nexus. It mitigates urban and rural heat by shading our land, it conserves vital water resources through reduced evaporation, it protects our food production from extreme weather yield drops, and it generates decentralized, resilient power that keeps things running even when the local grid is completely stressed out. The data is staring us right in the face. Super El Ninos and extreme heat events are not anomalies anymore. They are our rapidly approaching reality. We just can't afford to silo our agriculture and our energy production anymore. They have to work together. So I'll leave you with this thought. As extreme weather quite literally becomes our new normal, shouldn't our infrastructure actively protect our land while simultaneously powering our future? Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and we'll see you next time.